Look, we're not here today to predict an election. We're here to understand a mandate. We're going to dive deep into the political economy of Satakha. That's Assembly Constituency 36 in Nagaland. This isn't about who's going to win the next race. It's about what it actually takes to govern well. Think of this as a blueprint, one built from the ground up, based on what the people themselves want and what they struggle with every single day.
So where is Satakha? It's right there in the Zunaboto district of Nagaland. It's a reserved constituency, a homeland for the scheduled tribes, mostly the proud Ao Naga community. Now, to get Satakha, you have to get the Ao people. They're known for their really strong democratic village governance and a deep, deep respect for tradition. So you see, this isn't just a dot on a map. It's a place where cultural roots are everything, and that shapes a very unique political mindset. And because of that, what they expect from their leaders is incredibly high.
In a place like Satakha, politics is personal. It's not just about history books, it's about lived experience. The voters here, they have long memories. Stories get passed down. They remember every promise made by leaders, both past and present. And you better believe they measure new promises against the old ones that were broken. Every single vote is touched by this deep, collective memory. It's like the soil itself remembers.
All right, let's cut through the noise. Forget the big campaign speeches for a minute. The real way people judge their leaders isn't based on some grand ideology. It's based on a daily ledger of what's working and what's not. Broken roads? What does that really mean? It means a farmer's hard work rots before it ever gets to the market. A constant grinding fight for clean water, that decides the health of an entire family. A lack of jobs, a quiet crisis that's forcing the next generation to leave home just to build a life. And underneath it all, this deep anxiety over the security of their land and their identity. These are the things that really matter.
So, to really get this, we're going to follow a clear path. We've started by feeling the heartbeat of the place. Next, we'll let the numbers tell their side of the story. Then, we'll break down the two big promises being offered to the people, look at the trust deficit that's holding things back, and finally, lay out a practical blueprint for development that can lead to real purpose. Okay, so we've talked about what people are feeling on the ground. Now let's connect that to what the numbers prove. Because when you look at the election data, it tells an undeniable story about what the people of Satakha want. It basically turns all that emotion into hard evidence.
Just look at this number. In the 2023 elections, voter turnout was 89.2%. I mean, that is staggering. This is not a sign of a public that doesn't care. This is a deeply watchful, active, and thoughtful group of citizens. They are paying very close attention. Their vote is a carefully considered decision, and their mandate is not something that can be taken for granted. You know, this isn't just a statistic. It's the very sound of democracy at work. This kind of participation is the essence of informed public speech, a core value in our Constitution. But with that right comes a huge responsibility, not just for the citizen to choose well, but for the leader who gets that trust to honor it with integrity.
Now this chart, this really shows you the big shift. In 2013, you see a total landslide for the NPF, almost 75% of the vote. That's a classic party stronghold. But look what happens when you fast forward to 2018 and 2023. The margins get tight. The race gets way more competitive. Satakha went from being a safe seat to a genuine swing constituency. This data is proof that loyalty here isn't a given. It has to be earned over and over again.
Let's just walk through this timeline. You see this long period of NFP strength, peaking with that massive win in 2013. But then, boom, a huge flip in 2018. The seat swings to an NDA-allied party, and that trend gets stronger in 2023. The lesson here couldn't be clear. No single party owns Satakha. The voters are smart. They give their trust based on what they see, and they have no problem taking it back.
And all of this history, all this data, it brings us to the central choice that every voter in Satakha is facing right now. It's a choice between two very powerful and very different visions for what their future should look like. Two competing promises.
On one side, you've got the story of the local guardian. This is the NPF's home turf, basically. They position themselves as the protectors of Ao tribal identity. Their focus is on the really critical stuff like land rights and the inner line permit system, which is vital for protecting the local culture. Their power comes from a deep, trusted network of churches and village elders. Then on the other side, you have the national developer, the NDA Alliance. Their promise is progress by linking up with the central government. The focus here is on big infrastructure projects, using national money and influence to bring very visible development.
And right here, this is where we get to the absolute heart of the matter.
the governance trust deficit. This is that dangerous gap that opens up between those grand promises from both sides and what people actually experience day to day. This is the space where governance is truly put to the test and where so often it fails.
Think about National Highway 702A. It was announced with a huge amount of fanfare, right? A powerful symbol of that national developer promise. But for a farmer in some remote village, the little road that connects them to that big highway is still a broken, muddy mess. So for them, that grand project becomes a daily, frustrating reminder of a promise that hasn't been fully kept, and that just chips away at public trust.
Or take the young people. They hear about economic progress and all these new opportunities, but then they graduate with their degrees and there are no local jobs. They're forced to move to cities far away, leaving their families, their land, their culture, just to find some kind of future. That creates this deep, quiet unhappiness that no ribbon-cutting ceremony is ever going to fix.
And then there's the deepest anxiety of all, the one that gets to the very core of what it means to be Ao Naga. All the talk of big national development projects can stir up local fears. People start to wonder, will our land be safe? Will the interline permit that protects our way of life be respected? That question just hangs in the air, a constant test of a leader's true loyalty.
So you see, the real question is this: how can any leader from any party possibly earn trust when what people experience every day is the total opposite of the official story they're being told? The answer isn't about making even bigger promises. It's about a completely different approach. So it's time we shift from just talking about the problem to laying out a real solution. Let's turn to a blueprint for real development. This is a practical, nonpartisan framework that any leader can use, as long as they are genuinely committed to putting people first.
Building trust isn't something that happens overnight. It's a process, like climbing a ladder. You can't skip the rungs. Step 1 is the groundwork, hyper-local listening. Not showing up and telling people what you think they need, but going village by village and actually understanding their specific problems. Step 2 is visible action, delivering small, tangible wins. Fix a community well, repair a small piece of road. Show them you're listening. And only then, once you've built that foundation of goodwill, do you move to step 3, mobilizing bigger resources to deliver real proof on the core promises.
And what does that proof actually look like on the ground? Well, it rests on these 5 pillars. These are the non-negotiables: repairing the village roads, not just the highways, ensuring clean water access, one hamlet at a time, creating skills programs that actually lead to local jobs, upholding tribal rights with total transparency, and, absolutely critical, guaranteeing a system where every single complaint is heard and dealt with. You know, that last point is so important today. Listening to and resolving grievances means you're handling people's personal information. This has to be done with incredible care, respecting India's data privacy principles. It means getting clear consent and using their information only for the purpose of solving their problem, and by doing that, restoring their dignity.
When you adopt this entire approach, it completely changes how you think about political success. We call it governance ROI, or return on investment. In this way of thinking, the ultimate return isn't measured in votes during the next election. It's measured in the only currency that really matters: the deep, lasting trust of the people you're supposed to be serving.
So as we bring this all together, let's just zoom out. This deep dive into Satakha, it's about more than just the mechanics of how you win an election. It's about understanding the path to a higher purpose in public life. It's the path towards becoming a true steward of the people.
Because at the end of the day, when you really listen, the people of Satakha are not asking for miracles. When they ask for a decent road, for clean water, or a job for their child, they are asking for something much more fundamental. They are asking for dignity. The dignity that comes from being heard, from being respected, and from having the basic tools to build a better life for their families on their own land.
And that leaves us with one final, essential question. Not just for the leadership of Satakha, but for leaders everywhere. Will the next 5 years be defined by more grand announcements and flashy ceremonies? Or will they be defined by the quiet, consistent, steady work of building trust from the ground up? One repaired road, one solved problem, one kept promise at a time. That choice will define the future. If you want to become a people-centric leader and uplift your constituency, get in touch with blueprintstrategies.ai at mgr@blueprintstrategies.ai or call 080-4204-1620. Purpose beyond politics.